10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. It is Friday, and it feels good, man. Almost the weekend. We are here. I'm done with this week. It's just been a long week, so I'm kind of pumped up. We get the weekend happening. Just chilling Friday. Going to have like a freestyle show today. Letting everybody kind of come in, talk about what they want to talk about, whatever. So again, typical day up here in Massachusetts. We are freezing our bags off again today. I woke up today, it was 4 degrees. So that was just fucking awesome. So 4 degrees this morning. We get a mountain of snow at the end of my driveway. And this upcoming week, they're talking about 3 snowstorms. So that's just awesome. So Friday, it looks like we're looking at probably somewhere in the ballpark of like another foot of snow and whatever. It is what it is, but we're getting closer to fall. And Glenn, I see a comment about my monologue. I don't really have a huge monologue planned for today. I'm just kind of planning on getting on, freestyling a little bit, having a hour-long show or so. But I see you made a comment about something is being planned for April 20th. And it's not weed related, oddly. And that's unfortunate because these days, now that marijuana is legal in Massachusetts, pretty much everything is related to weed. So that's kind of a good thing, I guess. Hey, Jess Duck, how you doing today? Hopefully everything is going well. And, just kind of chilling out today, looking forward to the weekend. My wife is still gone. She is in the sunny, beautiful state of Florida with with 2 of my children. I got Glenn calling in, so let's go to him and find out what's going on. Hey, Glenn, welcome to the show, bud. What's going on?
Hey, John. Not much. So on April 20th, so like 7 weeks,
Yep.
Brian from Planet ADHD and myself will be doing a Yes and improv special.
Oh.
So the only rule of the show is me and Brian, doesn't matter what anyone says, we have to say yes and.
Yes,
and.
Yes, and.
So they can say, I fucked your wife last night, and we are forced to say yes and.
So basically, no matter what happens, you got to come back with the yes and.
It doesn't matter. We're forced to say yes and everything. So over the course of the next 7 weeks, we'll be offering people to hit us up if they want to be invited to our kind of like test runs, rehearsal type shows, which will be privately done. But the live show on April 20th will be open to everyone. And, I already have a lot of people that are saying that's going to be hilarious. I'm going to come there just to be a jerk, but hey, whatever.
Now, whose show is this going to be on? Is this going to be on your show, Brian's show? Whose show is going to be on?
We still haven't quite decided that part. It's 7 weeks away, and we literally brainstormed the idea yesterday. So it is brand new, but we both have committed to it. So
Nice.
We're not sure which platform we'll be on. We'll figure that out eventually. Probably Planet HD, but he kind of wants to do it on mine. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to do rock, paper, scissors to see who has to host it.
Well, you saw what happened the other night, right? I was on Brian's show or in Brian's show for Planet ADHD, and he came.
Oh, when you learned you're a skank?
We're skanks apparently. So apparently we're skanks.
Yeah.
And we both came to kind of like a shocking realization that we didn't know it at our age, but apparently we have both been in orgies at one point in our life. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I didn't know, but I didn't know the definition of what an orgy actually is. And like I've said, kind of in my younger days, I may have run around a little bit. There was a reason why I didn't get married till I was 33. But when I looked up the definition, I found out that apparently I have been at one point in my life in an orgy. And Cummings is coming in at a very interesting time as he's hearing me talk about that. So, this has kind of changed my life a little bit. Like, I've been online shopping the last few days. I realize now that I have to buy a robe. I don't know if it should be like a velour robe or what material it should be, but something kind of that emits that orgy type of atmosphere. I'm probably going to need a pipe, I'm guessing, something like that. So breaking news, John DeVito has been in an orgy. It happened a long time ago, and I didn't realize with the numbers that apparently it did qualify as an orgy. So I guess I'm feeling kind of cool about myself.
This is going to be an interesting topic on those rights to this baseball game, isn't it?
What's that?
This is going to be an interesting topic for the kids on the right to the baseball game, isn't it?
That's my problem. You were right. I should have come out with another name for my podcast because as some of you know.
But that didn't even happen on your show, though. You could have not brought that up and they wouldn't know. But now they're going to listen to your show and find out about it.
Oh,
you did this to yourself, John.
There's one kid in particular. I mean, I'm telling you, this kid is 11 years old, but he's already the president of a fraternity. He's 30 years old. The stuff that comes out of this kid's mouth is amazing. And he's the one that, brought up the information. Because way back when I started, as you know, I did a couple of sex podcasts and they were pretty successful, had a lot of people in, they were good shows. So I'm a baseball coach in my town and I'm driving to baseball practice with a car full of kids. And all of a sudden I have this 11-year-old kid speak up and go, "Hey, Mr. DeVito." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he goes, "I was listening to your podcast the other day." I'm like, "Oh, you were?" And I'm like, "Which one?" "The one about sex." And I'm like, "Oh, you did? That's fantastic." And he goes, "What's up with that guy that talked about having sex in a coffin?" So that was obviously Brian. And I'm like, holy shit, this little kid actually listened to my sex podcast. So I kind of stopped doing those for a while. So now you're right. I'm actually driving them home from practice tonight. So I'm sure I'm going to get a question about the orgy, I guess, today. And of course, I see Profit to the Nation, Autumn Miller, coming in. And she said, "Did you get my email?" I don't think I did, actually. I'm normally pretty good at responding to emails. And I don't remember getting any type of email from you. So if you want...
Did Google ban you from your Gmail?
What's that?
Did you get banned from your email too?
Yeah, probably. I've gotten banned from everything, man. I got banned from Twitter. I got banned from TikTok. I got banned from Facebook. And Facebook, I banned them back. I'm just done with that whole organization and Mark Zuckerberg. I'm kind of tired of all his crap and all that stuff that's going on there. But I'm finally back, though. I'm back on Twitter. I'm back on TikTok. We'll see how long that lasts. But so far...
So really, online, you're like the angry old man that yells people not to get off his grass.
I am. I am. I've become
you are online.
Curmudgeon. I'm like a grouchy old man. And I get on and, in that cesspool of Twitter, I get on and just kind of yell at people and say rude things. And I probably shouldn't. But the one thing I got banned for was stupid. I was kind of going back and forth with this guy. He was just kind of being difficult. And he said something that insulted me. And of course, I go right to the mother joke. I said something about, well, your mother. And then he said something back about his mother. And I said, well, I just got off your mother. I mean, that's like a joke you say in fourth grade to some of your friends, and I got suspended for that. Now on TikTok, the reason why I got suspended on that account was, and this goes back a while ago, I had this video up for I don't even know, 6 months, and it got maybe 200 views. So it's not like it was even popular, but there was just a picture of a sweater with Nancy Pelosi, AOC, a few of the other Democrats on the sweater. And it just said the winner of an ugly sweater contest. So a Christmas sweater contest. So it was a stupid little thing. And then out of nowhere, someone must have reported it. And I got, I guess, banned or suspended for bullying or hate speech because of that. And it was just stupid. But it
really was a great passive troll, though. As far as passive troll jobs go, that's a good one.
Hey, Dini Joe,
it takes a second. It takes a second to get it. It's why is it? Oh.
Now, Profit to the Nation. Give me a second. I'm going to type my email address. You wanted to send the information in on Wawa. Oh, I got Jeremy calling in too. Excellent. Yeah, if anybody wants to call in today, man, open show. Everybody's welcome. Call in. Let's chat. Let's have some freestyle. Have a good time. So I'm going to type in my email address really quickly.
It's DeVito@onlyfans.com.
DeVito, who is banned from every social media platform.com, right?
Let's see. I was just going to say OnlyFans, but OnlyFans. Whatever.
There we go.
OnlyFans,
So yeah, send that to me again, and I'll definitely look for it and see if I can find it. Hey, Poetic, welcome to the show. So Jeremy, what's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I got on TikTok the other day, and
Yes.
it was an ad that came up, and it was talking about mind orgasm. This thing will cause a mind orgasm.
A mind orgasm. All right, explain
Well,
that to me. You've got my interest.
well, I have no idea because let me tell you the funny thing about this. I've sat there and it's just like a bunch of things, and it's like a bunch of lights, and it's like they're moving or whatever. So I click comments because I'm like, oh, I'm about to
Oh,
see some funny
I saw
comments,
that thing. I
and
saw
then
that.
and then I see fucking John DeVito commented I should have held my load longer.
Yeah, that was me. I saw that. It was a stupid thing. It's like this. It's this thing where you're going through this tunnel, and it's supposed to give you like a mind orgasm. So yeah, I was immature and I was rude. Yeah, that was me. I forgot about that. Yeah,
It said
I'm
your
literally
friend
like that
John
myself.
DeVito. I was like, I wonder if anybody else can see your friend when it comes up, like when it goes up. It's like Cummings Culture and or at Cummings Culture and John DeVito are friends.
Well, see,
Like,
I had to figure that out the hard way. Back in the early days of Facebook, I was married at that point, and I remember I would make like rude comments, and I am what I am. I like to joke around, whatever. So I'd have high school friends, girls I knew, guys I knew, and I meant nothing by the comments. It was just bantering, being stupid, and I remember making just like inappropriate comments, and just trying to be funny or whatever. And I remember one day my wife comes home from work, and she's just like, you know what, dude? I'm like, what? She goes, will you stop being a dumbass on social media? I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you do realize, right? When you make these comments, I can see them. My father can see them. My relatives can see them. Everybody sees you making these stupid comments. Could you just stop? And I'm like, well, I'm only kidding. I'm like, I know you're kidding, and I don't care. But when my mother is getting things sent to her that you're saying on Facebook, from relatives of my family, just stop being an idiot. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. I'll try to stop. So I always try to keep in mind, all right, when I make one of those rude comments, remember, my wife's going to see it or whatever. But the good thing is she's not on TikTok, so I can make those rude comments there and she doesn't see them. But now if she listens to the show, then she's going to know. So I'm screwed here. I'm an idiot. That's why I get suspended from social media all the time. I'm just a child. I don't know.
dude, I don't know how they haven't suspended me from social media because I go crazy on Twitter. Like somebody will post something and like it'll be the dumbest thing you've ever seen before in your life. Like it'll be something about save all the cats because they're eating the cats over in whatever God forbidden country they're talking about. And then I'll start commenting stuff like, yeah, save the pussy. And then I'll be like, no, eat the pussy. We gotta eat the pussy. And then like I don't know how I'm still on social media.
Right. It's just being stupid, and again, I don't know. We talk about shows with bullying and things like that. I mean, I don't try to go on and bully people ever, but I do try to go on and be funny. And sometimes my jokes are funny, and other times they're not funny. So yeah, that stupid thing. I remember I saw that also, and I have to admit, I thought it was kind of cool. It's one of those apps where you like look down this tunnel, and you're traveling down the tunnel, and it's supposed to hypnotize you. But this one promised a mind orgasm. I don't know what a mind orgasm is, so apparently I'm not doing it right because I don't think I've had one. But I'm traveling through this tunnel and nothing happens. So maybe you have to pay for the subscription to actually get to that point. So maybe I have to go back and pay some money to actually make that happen. But yeah, I had to make my little rude comment down there, and I'm so happy you saw that. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's like the guys that pay for OnlyFans accounts. Like,
Right.
like, have you ever seen like I see I just being honest, I had no idea what OnlyFans was until somebody told me about it. And then it was a bunch of girls that were like, you just like random girls that needed money during the pandemic, and they were posting nudes on there. But most of them, if you go to their freaking Twitter page, they've already got the nudes on their Twitter page. Like, why are you paying for OnlyFans?
Exactly. There's no need to. And I see Glenn's comment. He's up here on the panel with us also. I feel bad. Glenn, a lot of times he, I guess, feels kind of insecure about the size of his penis. And I try to build him up and I try to make him feel better. But again, you realize Glenn is in Canada and it's cold up there. So, I mean, you've heard the stories. When you live in a cold climate, I mean, you definitely lose a little bit of size during this time of the year because
Shrinkage.
it's cold. It shrinks, it really does. And I remember that whole Seinfeld episode about shrinkage, and it amazes me that some women don't realize that actually happens. So that is one good excuse. So if you have a small penis,
John?
you can always go use that shrinkage excuse,
I have 2 words for you. Thermal underwear.
Thermal underwear. I don't have any thermal underwear. I don't know why. I should have some because it's cold as heck here right now.
And that's why your wife's friend seen your pecker in a bad situation.
Exactly. No, Cummings looks like he's going to leave us. He's going to take off. Hey, thanks for stopping in, Jeremy. You having a show today by any chance? What time are you going to be on?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go at like 6 today, my time. So it'll be like 7 your time. So,
oh, good. I'll be around then for that. Then I'll try to tune in and listen to that. For me, this whole week, I've had like this national sales meeting for my company. And usually we go someplace. Like last year, we were in Riverside, California. This year, the whole thing was on Zoom, literally from like 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. I mean, by yesterday afternoon, I was literally on just changing my backgrounds every 2 seconds. So I was, sitting at Fenway Park, then I was sitting on the beach. And then if anybody watched the Brady Bunch, I had like the Brady Bunch screen behind me where it showed the whole family. And I was looking up at Marsha. I was, by the end, I was just so friggin' burnt out by it. So I'm done with Zoom and all that stuff. But did anybody see the news today? I'm kind of bummed about this. They're talking that our new president, and this isn't going to get political, but the new president's talking about banning travel to like warm climates. So, if you want to take a vacation to Florida or something like that, they're not going to let you get on an airplane and travel from a cold climate to a warm climate. And for me, man, that's something I need. I can't be stuck in this cold climate, for a whole winter without getting out and going someplace warm. We go to Florida almost every, winter for just like a week or something to escape the cold. So I'm hoping that doesn't.
You know what's going to happen, John?
What's that?
You know what's going to happen? He's going to ban travel to warm climates, and like 2 days later, all of a sudden you see in the news that he's gone to Venezuela for like some political talks. It's like that motherfucker.
That's what they all do. I mean, and again, when I say it, both sides too. I mean, he'll get up. He puts the mask mandate in for all federal buildings, and then like 10 minutes later, he's giving a speech in a federal building with no mask on. It's like, at least try to follow your own regulations if you're going to put that stuff out there. So it's so stupid. So, Eric, how you doing, man? Good to see you up there. How are things with you?
I'm doing good. I know the weather here is real foggy, of course, where I'm at.
What's the temperature?
I'm in my car. It's reading 42 degrees outside.
I'd take 42 right now, but that's pretty cold for Georgia, isn't it? I mean, isn't that fairly cold for your area of the country at this time of year?
I know it's kind of cold and damp because of it being real foggy and stuff. And then, you there?
Yep, still here.
I was just checking to make sure you can still hear me. But I mean, I know like Tony, like who visits the Old Man's podcast, I think, was like where he is at like negative like 3 degrees, and then Victor, who lives up in Minnesota, like was like negative 11.
Mm. Oh, yeah. I mean, Minnesota's even worse than what we have here. Yeah, I see.
And dangerously cold where Jess Duck is in Colorado.
Right. I was just going to say that. I see J Baby's in. Welcome to the show if you're still here. Jess Duck, you made it to 1 degree. That's pretty cold. So I see Cummings. Ice storms, man. Ice storms are the worst. I mean, snowstorms, you can at least deal with it. Snowstorms, you can plow the snow. You get back to normal. I mean, up here, even if we get like a foot of snow, and I'm sure Glenn can speak on this too, we get a foot of snow, we get 2 feet of snow, we're up and running the next day. I mean, we have so many plows that get out and just attack the snowstorms. We're not stuck inside for too long, but ice storms are one of those things that are brutal. I remember we had one here probably, 15 years ago or so, maybe longer, and it was just catastrophic. I remember, we were in bed and it was ice. It was raining all night, and then the temperature dropped like really quickly. Everything froze, and all night long we heard just the cracking of like large tree branches, trees and all that stuff. And I remember I got up the next morning and we had like, branches down in our yard, but it didn't look terrible. Some of the trees were hanging over. We had one fairly big tree that was down. So I went out to try to get some gas for my chainsaw. And I remember I left our neighborhood and went out on the main street. I literally got like a mile from my house and realized I had to turn around. I mean, it was just catastrophic damage everywhere, where there were giant trees across all the roads, all the power lines were down. And I think that year we were lucky, and we were only without power for like, I think it was like 7 days at my house. I mean, there were some people that had no power for like 3 weeks. And this was like literally in the middle of December, like right before Christmas. So it was cold out. And we ended up buying a generator, and we got that up and running. So we had that running for like 3 or 4 days in the house, just kind of keeping things up. But ice storms, man, those are nasty. Those are, in my opinion, the worst of what, you can have out there as far as winter goes. Now, Glenn, have you gotten a lot of snow this year? Has it been kind of crazy up in Canada, or not too bad?
Where I'm at hasn't been that bad, but this week's been bitterly cold. Just bitter.
Now, when
Fahrenheit
you say
and Celsius become equal. So minus 35.
Yeah, that's cold. I mean, that is really cold. We maybe get that a couple times a winter, but we haven't had that stretch yet here where we're in the minus temperatures for like a week or two. Normally we get a couple of stretches during the winter where it's like minus 10 or whatever. I mean, this morning I think when I woke up it was like 3 or 4 degrees, and it's up to like 17 or 18 right now. And it's funny. I just went out. I still have shorts on. I think with the pandemic, I'm trying to make this the year where I wear shorts right through the winter. I mean, I think I've worn pants like twice the whole winter so far because I really don't have to go anywhere. I don't go to work. I don't go see customers. And when I go out to do something, I'm in my car most of the time. So I think I'm going to make it. This will be the year where I completely transition over to shorts for like the entire winter, So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
There's a guy.
I mean,
up
I've
here
worn
in
shorts in
Canada.
winter.
There's a guy up here in Canada, and he was a big fan of the CFL, and his team hadn't won, and he made a bet with his buddies in like 1993 that he wasn't going to wear pants until his team won the Grey Cup, which was the championship.
Right.
So he didn't wear pants for the next 18 years.
Well,
and it's like one of those. It's like relatively close to me, so it gets to like the minus 33, minus 34 range, and he's still out there in shorts.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I mean, that's, for me, I think that's where we're going to be back to here in New England. I don't know if anybody saw it. I mean, you're a sports guy, Glenn. Did you see how shit-faced Tom Brady was the other day?
That was epic. I kind of enjoyed that.
I mean, we never saw that in the entire time Tom Brady was in New England. And I mean, the best part is, I mentioned it a little bit yesterday. I mean, to see him on that boat, he was loaded, and he took the Lombardi trophy and threw it probably a good, I don't know, 10, 20 feet into another boat, and his daughter's in the background yelling the entire time, "Dad, no, no." And then they showed him later walking with Gronk, and Gronk was like just kind of holding him up, and Brady was stumbling along. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he doesn't drink.
Right. So, I mean, because
like, he has like one drink a year, and the other day he probably decided to have like 5.
Well, that's the thing. I think when you're hanging out with Gronkowski, you kind of have to do that. I thought the same thing, Just Duck. I didn't think he drank at all, but he certainly looked like he had drank the other day. So it might have been one of those things where he doesn't drink very often, and he goes out and does it every now and then. But he was absolutely loaded, and we literally never saw that in New England for the 20 years he was here. I mean, he may have been up on those duck boats, on the championship parades, drunk. I mean, who knows? But we never really saw him like that. But I mean, it was kind of cool to see him, laid back and kind of enjoying the whole celebration. It was just kind of funny to see him in that state. Now, it was funny. I don't know if I ever told you guys this story. We just missed meeting Gronkowski probably 5 or 6 years ago. We had a place, a little small condo up at Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire, really nice lake. Adam Sandler's got a house on that lake. Jimmy Fallon, a lot of people with a lot of money have houses in that lake, and we can't afford to be on the lake. So we snapped up a little cheap condominium on foreclosure when the market was bad back in the Great Recession. But there was this little beach bar called the Nasbar Beach Bar and Grill. It's got like this little beach, and people pull up in their boats, and there's a pretty good little bar, like a beach bar there with like a stage where bands play and stuff. It's kind of a cool little place. So this is like right around the corner from our condo, and he apparently we were up there that day, and he just pulled in a boat with a bunch of other guys, got off, hung out in the beach bar, and the place, posted tons of pictures of him. He posed with all the fans, all the waitresses, and here's this guy, 6'7", 250 pounds, just absolutely jacked in there with no shirt on, getting drunk with everybody and dancing and everything else. So he seemed like a pretty laid back guy. I mean, just taking pictures with everybody. It was kind of cool. And I guess just like that, he hung out for an hour, spent a ton of money, and then got on the boat and just took off and left the bar. So we unfortunately missed him that day. It would have been kind of cool to run into Gronkowski, in that bar, because we used to go there quite a bit. But I don't know, man. So Glenn, what are you looking forward to coming up? I mean, you're caught in the midst of winter. Are you a big baseball fan? I mean, you have your sports report. I know hockey is something you're big into, but do you look forward to baseball at all, or any warm weather sports?
I'm more of a highlights guy when it comes to baseball, but I do follow it. So, I mean, I heard about the paintball bet with Trevor Bauer and $40 million.
Right.
So I follow along. My Blue Jays have been spending a ton of money this offseason, which is weird.
Well, the Red Sox again is still trading away like all their decent players. They traded away Benintendi the other day. I mean, they had one of the best young outfielders in the outfields in the major leagues with Betts, Benintendi, and JBJ, and now basically they're all gone. I guess JBJ's up on the trading block also. So I'm not exactly sure what the Red Sox plan is. It doesn't seem like they have much of a plan right now, but I guess we'll see as the season comes along. You know.
The Red Sox don't want to be in luxury tax area, so
That's
the
good.
Red Sox had the Red Sox have been in the luxury tax for 2-3 years. So like this year's tax would be like 45% or something like that. Like it's a really high number. So if they drop under 180 for the year, it'll go back down to 10%, so they can spend more money next year.
Now, how's the NHL been this year? I know you're a hockey guy, so what's happening with your team and what's happening in the NHL right now? Because right now I'm not watching much hockey at all. I have YouTube TV, and YouTube TV screwed me where they actually got rid of Nesson, and that's the station up here in New England where you can get the Red Sox games, the Bruins games. So they dumped it and went over to a different platform. So I'm going to probably have to switch over at some point. So I haven't really seen any Bruins games, but what's happening in the NHL right now? How's the quality of play been?
Well, quality play's been great. There's an all-Canadian division, so that's obviously skewed my watching to very, very much all-Canadian because it's like all-Canadian matchups all the time, all year long. But your Bruins are doing really well this year. They've only lost one game in regulation, lost another 2 in overtime, but have been playing really well. Tuukka Rask has not bailed on the team yet, so that's good news. He did that in the playoffs. Yep, he hasn't done it yet. So the Bruins are still doing really well. Pasta is still doing good. The Bruins, I'm surprised because the Bruins lost a lot of good players in the offseason. So it's good to see that. Well, no, it's not. I'm lying. For you, it's good to see that they're still doing good.
Well, I was listening to sports radio in Boston here a couple of days ago, and they were talking about the Bruins, and they keep predicting that this team is eventually going to fall off that cliff, and they just haven't. So I think that even the sportscasters in Boston were kind of surprised that the Bruins have had a pretty good season so far. But do you think they have what it takes to continue on with that, or are they going to run out of steam?
It's hard to say. I've been predicting Boston to have to go into rebuild mode for 2 to 3 years now. It's like once Char hit 39, 40, Bergeron's in his mid-30s now because he's about my age, so he's getting close to 35. A lot of their main players are not that young, not that old, or not that young anymore. So, I mean, I've been expecting to fall off cliff for a long time, and for some reason, they keep on being able just to fill people in with younger players, and it seems to keep going. So I don't know when it will end. Maybe you guys can do what Detroit did for 25 years and never miss the playoffs.
It could be. I mean, we'll see. I think at some point, though, I mean, the ownership, I don't know how committed they are to actually putting, a great product on the ice all the time. I mean, they're always a competitive team, but, I don't know if they have enough to actually compete for a championship. So we'll see what happens. I mean, again, probably out of the 4 sports, I would say that hockey's kind of on the bottom of my priority list. It wasn't really a sport I ever played. And for whatever reason, I never really connected with hockey that much, even though a lot of my friends played hockey and that was kind of their sport. But
did you see JJ Watt today?
No,
JJ Watt and the Texans mutually parted ways, and JJ Watt did his own little video and posted on social media to the Texan fans.
I did not see that. I didn't realize they parted ways. So he's a free agent?
He's a free agent. They've parted ways. But anyway, I thought it really funny. In his video, he goes, guys, I just really want to thank you for how well you treated me. Except on draft night. You guys booed me. But other than that, you guys treated me great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a good chuckle out of that.
Oh, there goes my phone. Apparently I have my cell phone. There we go. Turn it right down. Getting the phone call. All right, that's off now. So anyway, did you see the guy in the Super Bowl, the streaker? I was talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I made a comment about this, but apparently the streaker from the Super Bowl got screwed. Now the streaker, I don't know if you saw this guy, but if you got on TikTok or
are you talking about the $50,000 prop bet?
Yeah, did you hear what happened to him? They are not going to pay him. They are not going to pay him. So apparently this streaker, he ran out in the field. You could see him on the Super Bowl if you check social media. He ran out with no shirt on, and he had a physique a lot like mine. So I was impressed he went out there with no shirt on. But then he dropped his pants. He had thong underwear on, and he was juking the security guards. A couple guys missed him, and then he kind of dove for the end zone and just missed, getting absolutely clocked by one of the security guards who was coming in full speed, who was looking to knock him out. So the guy ended up in jail. Spent $1,000 to bail himself out. But then he found out that this guy actually bet $50,000 that there would be a streaker during the Super Bowl. So this genius, I give him credit, man. That's awesome. That he bet 50 grand that there would go ahead. There would be a streaker, but apparently now they've reneged and they're not going to pay him. So I think he has a lawsuit.
A number of people that are like big into like those kind of prop bets said that Vegas wouldn't set it up to where you could do that.
Right.
So like the maximum bet you could put on it would at like 51 odds would be like $20. So I mean, you might make like $500 after you bail yourself out, but it's not the extravagant number because Vegas wouldn't put that kind of thing because then you'd have 20 streakers every year in the Super Bowl. Because why wouldn't everybody do that? If it was so easy to just go bet $1,000 in Vegas on this prop bet and then go streak at the Super Bowl and you can make money on it, why wouldn't everybody do that?
Right. I mean, if I could do that, man, I'd put down $100,000. I'll go out there naked. I don't care for that kind of money.
Well, exactly. So a lot of people that are like more in tune with kind of how Vegas prop bets work said that Vegas wouldn't have done that. Like it was probably $50.
Yeah, that probably because they were reporting it was 50,000. That seemed like a lot to bet on something like that. And now again,
a lot of people they're calling that bullshit.
Yeah, it may be bullshit. And if he did though, if he let's just say for argument's sake, he did bet the $50,000 and he was able to do that, does he lose that money or does he get the 50 grand back? You know, I mean, they're not on the bet. Did he lose it?
Well, I think they would consider it like counting cards at a blackjack table. It's essentially cheating the bet because you're doing it yourself. It's like, no, you can't bet on yourself to streak at the Super Bowl. That's not the bet. It's a streaker, not you.
Now, if you remember The Hangover, one of my favorite lines from that movie was, well, counting cards isn't illegal. It's frowned upon, just like masturbating on an airplane. You remember that? And then what's his name comes out. He's like, well, I'm pretty sure that's illegal too. Well, yeah, maybe since Obama. Thanks a lot, Obama. One of my favorite lines from The Hangover. Hilarious movie. But you're right, Jess Duck. He should have had a friend kind of make that bet for him. But now, Eric, I mean, for you now, if you could bet $50,000 and you could make $50,000, $100,000 by streaking on the Super Bowl, would you run on the field? Would you run out there and streak for that kind of money, Eric?
I don't know whether I would take that large amount or not.
Right. Well, I'd be afraid. And again, I mean, at least it was in Tampa, so it's warm, so you don't have to worry about the shrinkage factor. So if you're running out on the field, maybe you'll be kind of in your full glory as opposed to being in a kind of a shriveled up state. Which, again, if you're running across a Super Bowl being played in like New England or New York or something like that, then it would definitely not give you your best showing. So you need to be careful of doing something like that. So, now, Glenn, did I hear from you? Glenn, are you're coming back and doing some lives here on Podbean? Is that true?
Well, at least a couple. I mean, I'm going to be doing the improv thing with Brian, which we're going to have like the public version April 20th. But we're going to do a few rehearsal ones, kind of private, just to figure out how exactly we work it. Because, you know, there's going to have to be some sort of filtering process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if we find out that like people
that should be an awesome show.
But, you know, if like people start taking runs at other people in comments and forcing me and Brian to say yes and to it, that's not really fair too. It's like, you know, leave other people alone, make it funny, but don't take posts to other people for it.
Oh, you know that'll probably happen.
You're the audience.
Again, as long as it's good fun, I mean, that's one thing. If you have people in there that are joking around, but if you have people coming in looking just to be an ass and, you know, to try to create problems, which you'll probably have that also. But that sounds like a fun show. I mean, Brian's a funny guy.
It'll be hilarious. And me and Brian already kind of riff on each other all the time anyway. So we're not worried about us doing it, but we are a little bit like, we're pretty much inviting trolls to come in and say whatever the hell they want at this point.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but I've seen ever since there was kind of the call out on who the trolls were, like we had some people on the platform that kind of figured out who was trolling, and there was a little bit of a confrontation between these groups. And it seems like to me, the trolling has kind of stopped a little bit. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but I haven't seen nearly as much trolling.
It's just that.
Eric, what do you think? Do you think that's true also?
I haven't really seen much of a spike in the last 24 to 48 hours, but people like me and Chris and Cummings and James from Slightly Serious and I think even you too, John, are keeping your eyes and ears open in case they come back.
Now, explain something to me, Eric. I wanted to ask you this. Now, I was in Laura's show for a little while last night. She's got a good show. And she was talking about Robert, I guess, has been back off the air again. Did something additional happen to Robert? Because I know there was stuff going on a while ago where people
they have trolled him relentlessly because and and the thing about Robert is, he's legally blind, and people swear to God that he's a child molester and pedophile, and that right there couldn't be further from the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Because, and I would say to these people, like, and I think, how can people, be so cruel? Because you don't even know this poor guy. The question I would have for these trolls is, how do you live with yourselves? How do you even sleep at night? Bashing people you don't even know. Like, what is it that is missing from you?
A lot of the psychological nature is the fact that they're looking at a screen. That person isn't looking them in the eye.
That's what it is.
I mean,
it's easy when you don't have to look someone in the eye to insult them.
Yeah, you get a lot of keyboard cowards out there that hide behind the keyboard. And again, if you have something to say, why not have some courage and come in with your own name as opposed to creating, a troll name, a fake name where nobody knows who you are. And again, if you want to come in and rag on me. I really don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me all that much. But when you're picking a guy who obviously has some challenges, and I don't know how old he is. He looks like he's probably in his 30s.
He's in his early 30s.
That's what I figured. But I mean, realistically, he is probably more like maybe like a 12 or 13-year-old kid, honestly. I mean, I'm just taking a rough guess on that, and I don't mean to be disparaging in saying that. It's just kind of the reality of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the poor guy comes on. He's looking to make friends. He plays music. And you know what? For crying out loud, if you don't like his show, scroll by it and don't go in. Is there a need to get in and beat down a person who has struggled most of their life with issues and challenges? I mean, he doesn't need to be beaten down anymore. I mean, if you don't like him, scroll past him. Scroll past him.
Well, and I would even go as far as saying, like, what if this was one of your own kids, or a loved one or a friend that you care very deeply about? Would you be laughing or would you be crying?
Yeah.
Because, and I also come from like the background of people who live in glass houses shouldn't be throwing rocks.
That's true. And also, people who live in glass houses should always wear clothes. That's just another thing I learned over the years, because there was a time where I actually lived in a glass house and I walked around naked quite a bit, and my neighbors weren't happy. So remember that. It's very important about glass houses. Don't throw rocks, and always wear clothes if you can. Very, very important. Of course, I'm joking, Eric.
And another idiom I would use is sweep around your own back porch before going and meddling in other people's affairs.
Yep, that's true. It's true. You're right. And I'm glad to see that it looks like the people that were creating a lot of these issues have been kind of maybe spoken to and kind of warned that if it continues, things are going to go out in public and people are going to let everybody know who is saying what. Because, I mean, there were some things that were said on this platform. I mean, to hear that a couple of my very good friends on this platform were called faggots, which really bothered me. And then you had people coming into my show using the N-word and things like that. And there was a lot of real negative stuff.
And making very inappropriate comments to the point that Podbean is even investigating it. And they're probably even searching their servers right now. And in the case of like a lot of these shows, they're probably doing some IP address traces to find out. Because what these people fail to realize is that they could be subject to possible criminal charges and jail time.
And the thing of it is, too, I mean, if you're going to use the word faggot, at least spell it right. I saw a few of the chains back and forth. I mean, to come into a show and to use a horrible, ridiculous word like that, and then to spell it wrong, at least spell the friggin' word right, moron, as opposed to coming in and spelling it incorrectly. So now, who do I get? Is that Chris that came in? I see a new name.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So what's the name now, Chris? I didn't see it when you came in. The Forgotten Tunes? Oh, that was you.
Yeah, the Forgotten Tunes.
Okay. God, I didn't realize it was you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Speaking of special friends, just so everybody knows, Robert is a special friend of mine, and I only know Robert from on here, but I stayed up all night last night through his first show when I should have been in bed just to kick trolls off, and I'll continue to do that because you don't pick the weakest link and pick on them. They're starting to come into my show. They ruined my show last night. Somehow I lost my sound, John. I lost my sound. I refreshed my computer. I got Cummings to tell me what to do. He said, refresh the computer. I never got my sound back.
But that happened to me the other day, too. That, on my last show, at the end, Eric had to close it out for me. I just disappeared, and Eric luckily closed the show out. I refreshed it. Didn't happen either. So I'm not sure what happened, but it happened to me also just the other day.
And let me tell you something. It happened to me directly after a certain individual in question entered my room.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
So
I see Glenn mentioning he's up there. I mean, that's probably a Podbean issue, but you never know either what type of things are going on. So what happened in your show last night? You said they ruined your show. I mean, I don't think we should hide this shit from people. What were they saying in your show last night?
Well, I lost my audio feed, and then I had this one guy by the name of Bobby. He kept coming into my show, even after I didn't have sound, and he was making comments like, why are you still on the air if you don't have sound, and blah, blah, blah. Well, it happened right after Rick came in, and this Bobby guy requested a song, and I cannot play that song on your show, John. I cannot. This song is so freaking derogatory. I'm glad I never hit play on it. I'm glad I lost my feed, because this song is just, I cannot believe someone would request the song that was requested.
That bad, huh?
Okay.
Wow.
It's that bad. And and that was requested by this Bobby guy. Well, let me look at my screenshots here so I don't misspeak on myself here. But this is just,
I get I mean, Eric, I've got the screenshots of everything that happened. Hey, Crazy Kane, what's up, man? I've got the screenshots of everything that happened, like not on Podbean, but that texting thing that happened back and forth between a few different people. Someone sent me all the text, so I got to see what was said. And I've got the whole chain right here. I mean, just talk about just nasty, nasty shit that's being said. Let's see. Let me go down. You, my friend, are the definition of a pussy and a coward. Nice trying to suck dick, but we know you've been leeching ass was toxic. Bitch ass faggot was another term that was used by this particular person. And just very, very unfortunate that people, and we know who you are. I mean, we know it's been called out, and I'm not gonna share the name on my show. But when you're coming into the show,
we think it's multiple individuals doing it.
But these were texts, and we knew exactly where the text came from. And it's very unfortunate that you see people, really threatening someone. Now, I don't know if you saw this, Eric, but there was an actual threat sent out, basically saying that I'm going to be going to the area. I'm not going to say where, but I'm going to be going to the area where you live, and you better be ready. You better have some energy when I see you. So basically threatening to come to this person's house and do harm to themselves and their spouse, which I thought was extremely just in poor taste. So, it is what it is. I mean, you can go on and be a troll, but once you start threatening somebody in that manner, then you're making a mistake. And I'll say very clearly, hey, if Eric or Chris or Jess Duck or Crazy King comes to my house, Glenn, come on in. We'll make you dinner. We'll give you a beer. Come hang out with us. If you're coming to my house to hurt me, then I will tell you that I am a member of the NRA, and I will meet you with authority at the front door. I'll just leave it at that. So, it is what it is. But anyway.
Well, and to back up what Eric is saying, these people need to understand, if you are prosecuted, you're not going to be prosecuted by state. You're going to be prosecuted federally, because you're crossing state lines using the internet. Trust me on that, folks. I know people it's happened to, so don't doubt me on that one. It will be federal charges if charges are pressed.
I've got Caitlin's noise ready for this one. I see the comment down in the chat from our friend Glenn. John, can we mud wrestle in thongs together? That's what people was thinking when they see that comment down there. But yeah, I mean, let me say, I'm a lot of things in this life. There are some things I'm good at. There are some things I'm bad at. And I can say right now, I've never worn a thong, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not the right look for me. I'm just going to say that right now. All right. I'm going to get that out there and just say, if I put a thong on, that would be enough probably to get me in prison. And I would probably deserve to be there just for the mere sight of what that would look like. So I don't know. It would be kind of scary. So let's see. If I asked about anyone else in your home, you will shoot me. I don't know. I mean, again, I got 3 sons, my daughter, my wife. I don't know. None of us are really thong wearers. So I don't think we're really like a thong family. I don't know. Maybe we'll go that way sometimes. My wife's down in Florida right now. Maybe she'll turn into a thong person while she's away. But we're not much of a thong family. I don't find them, or they don't look like they would be very comfortable. Not that I've ever worn one, but all right, let's change the subject. I'm kind of creeping myself out now. So now what happened now? You said you were in Robert's show last night, Chris. If you could, I mean, let me know, because I mean, this stuff really, really, really makes me angry. Robert really can't defend himself. I mean, what type of things are being thrown at him? Just so
all right, let me just read some of it to you, because I got some screenshots here of Robert's screen. Okay. So because they were getting deleted as soon as they commented, they started coming in their headers. Where is the creep Robert entered the room? Let me go to another one. Let's see this one here. Another time, where is the creep Robert entered the room, and they just keep coming in, but they're putting it in the title.
Yeah, just keep changing.
And I remember like last year, about June or July, about that time you had that falling out, John, with another podcast that will remain nameless. I mean, I remember being in the Tong Corner podcast one day with Cracks, and Roxanne was there, and they came in under the header calling Cracks a racist bitch, spelling Cracks like a KKK, which to me that was very insulting. Because Cracks, I think, has proven herself to be a good friend and a very good moral character.
Absolutely. And yeah, I see Glenn made the comment down in the chat. Yes, for those that were around back in the day, Nonsense and I had a little bit of a falling out back in the day. I wish nothing bad against him. He and I don't have the same style. That's okay. He has a good show, and for whatever reason, he hasn't been doing his podcast as much on the platform. I thought at some point about reaching out to him and being like, "Hey, listen, why don't we just bury the hatchet, put it behind us?" But he hasn't been on lately, so I haven't bothered doing so. But
unless he's been busy with work and other commitments that we don't know about.
Maybe he moved to another platform. Who knows? But I mean, he was successful. He had a good show, and in the beginning, I did like his show. I just kind of disagreed with his style a little bit, and he didn't really care for my style either, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to be fans of everybody. I mean, that's just the way life is. And if what I do isn't interesting, don't come into my show, and I don't go into the shows. I don't see. Depends on how you define good. I never thought Jerry Springer was good. That's kind of how his show was, but he certainly had a pretty good following. People seem to like his show, and it wasn't really my cup of tea, but it is what it is. So, and
I DM'd you some screenshots like on Twitter. At some of the nasty things that was said about James from Slightly Serious. I'll have to let you read them yourself, and you would see how the person who wrote those and post them on Facebook, and how very disgraceful was that.
The thing that gets me to, I want to ask you a question 1 second, Chris. Let me get this out and I'll come to you. But, the one thing I don't understand, I mean, here I am. I mean, I'm admittedly the old guy in here, okay? I'm the old guy that comes from the racist generation. We don't understand, gay people and all that type of thing. But, I mean, the person that was making these comments was young, supposedly the woke generation. I mean, for me, I don't really give a damn whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're green, whether you're gay, whether you're straight. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Good people are good people. And you see this guy coming out and dropping the fag word on some of my friends here on Podbean. And to me, honestly, I guess when I was a kid, when I was young, a lot of times we would use, maybe in elementary school, oh, you're being a fag, but we didn't mean like a gay person. We meant you're just being stupid back in the day. I mean, things have obviously changed and you can't say those things anymore. But I don't think in my life I've ever said anything to a person that was gay in that way to try to insult them for who they are. I mean, to me, I just don't understand why someone would come out and insult people based on their sexuality. It just honestly is something that just does not register in my head. I don't get it. And for this person that did that, this person's pretty young. It just surprised me. Someone of the younger generation would come out and be so negative, when it comes to that type of thing. So I don't know. I don't get it. So, hey, Chris, I wanted to ask you also while you're here, did you hear from your friend?
I did. I heard from him late last night. I did finally hear from him, and it was an emotional conversation, but it was one I understood. He needed time. He was just reliving it was just too much. He needed some time, but he is fine.
Good. No, for those of you who don't know, I mean, we're not going to mention any names or anything, but Chris has been doing a lot of work. Some of you remember, Chris came onto my show and talked about the horrible things that happened to him at the Agape boarding school back in the day, along with, I think, 16 or 17 other people who have come on my show. Others have gone on the Hammer podcast. Berlin, who used to be Amanda, is doing great work trying to shut down that Agape school. After we were lucky enough to shut down the Circle of Hope school. But, Chris has been doing a lot of good work, like reaching out to people and trying to be someone that helps some of the people that maybe have gone through some of the same things he went through at that school. And he did have someone he connected with who just had a bunch of memories all come back and have listened to a couple of the shows now and kind of had a little bit of a rough time. So Chris has been there for him and is just being a good guy. So, I mean, for the people that go into Chris's show, whether you're listening to his music show or if he starts doing more, getting on and talking shows, I mean, definitely tune into the Forgotten Tune show. I mean, he's a good guy, doing what he can to help people. And that's what we have. I mean, we seem like we do have that clique on here of, for the most part, people who are good people, who are looking to do good things. I listened to a show the other night. Now, what was that show again, Eric? Was it the Die Show I was listening to?
Her name is Dolly. Yes. Let me look at my following list.
I've heard of her show before. I got onto her show, and she was talking about like women.
The Heavenly Blue podcast.
Yeah, it's a good podcast.
By Dolly.
I was in there for quite a while listening to her, and she somehow got on the topic of football players over the years that have kind of abused the
well, she even talked about Bill Cosby the other night too,
right?
And Mia Farrow and a few other names.
Crazy Kane, I like your comment there. I said once, I said it 1,000 times. Stop judging people and start respecting one another. Easy to say, and you're 100% right, but you just get some assholes out there that
Well, you're going to have douchebags in society no matter what.
Thank you, Crazy Kane, for saying that. Thank you,
Eric. Elderly John, personal assistant, reminding him who he listens to. You have to, man. Well, I mean, again, I'm old, and I've probably got CTE for playing football for like 11 years. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely forget things. I mean, too many shots to the head over the years, I think, has been kind of my problem. And that's certainly, my wife's been saying for a long time I have problems. And, she, we got Crazy Kane calling in. We're going to get him joining the show. You had him on for a little while yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Kane, welcome, my friend. How are you?
Can y'all hear me?
Loud
I can hear you.
Yes.
For some reason, when I call into this show, I don't have issues.
Mm-hmm.
This is good.
What type of issues do you have in other shows? You just have trouble when you call in?
Matrix, or they can't hear me at all.
Well, you know why that is, Crazy Kane? Because I'm a true professional. That's why. Of course, I get this stupid roadcaster thing in front of me.
The old man will say it's sunspots.
Sunspots, yes. Sunspots. I've got this stupid roadcaster thing, which I like, but half the time when people call in, I forget to turn up the wrong button and I don't hit the right things. And, it's kind of like a borderline boomer trying to work new technology. So I do the best I can. I try to,
Well, then, of course, James from Slightly Serious, I know, like, this weekend, if he's got a little bit of time, I know that, he's got to work on, like, correcting some technical issues, like, on his end for the video and audio simulcast where, like, the audio is coming in clear. And, but I know that's no easy task for him. And then I know he'll be on later tonight, but I've got to make sure before the show starts, I got to help him make sure he can still hear me whenever I call in and stuff. And try to figure out where it's going wrong.
Now, Glenn, I got to ask you a question. Now, it just kind of, Eric's comment made me think about this. He was mentioning video. Now, Father Brian on Planet ADHD has been saying quite a bit lately that a lot of times he's doing his show while he's naked. Now, is this actually true? Is he nude while he's on? If he is, we probably give him video.
I haven't got picture evidence of it, but I'll take his word for it because I don't want the picture evidence.
The only person I would think about who would probably know, but she's probably gonna not say a word, would be Rebecca.
Now my
she
question
confirmed
is,
that he was naked, actually. So
he literally sits there and does his podcast with no clothes on.
Well, it's cold now, so he doesn't, but that's more of a summertime thing. So, I mean, if it's June, July, if you call in, you can expect he is probably naked.
Oh, my God.
TMI.
I've got to try that. I've never done it before.
I agree, Eric.
But I think I'm going to have to do one in the same state at some point. But again, I have to be careful because I've got 4 kids running around the house, and I wouldn't abuse them by having to see that disaster at any time in their lives. So I may have to wait for them out of the house.
I'm pretty sure I've like live cast in my underwear.
You have,
like, just sitting there in my underwear, but like I've never done naked.
So when you say underwear, are we talking tighty whities? Are we talking boxers? What are we talking about?
Boxer briefs. Boxers.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, those are comfortable. I like the
boxer.
boxer.
I know. It was an early show. It was like 4 p.m. I wasn't gonna get dressed for that.
My problem is I go commando, so I can't really do anything in my underwear. So I'm kind of a commando guy. Let's see. I see what is that? Annika has entered the live studio. I like that. Annika.
Mm-hmm.
John, you're also shorts guy, so we're basically doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm in shorts all the time. Literally all. I mean, right. I look like a jackass today, though. I had to go out and do a few chores. So right now I've got like a heavy coat on. I'm still wearing it. I came home 3 minutes before the podcast was supposed to start and got right on. So I've got my heavy winter coat on with a Nike t-shirt underneath it. I've got shorts on no socks and sneakers. That's how I went out of the house today. I had to go into a few stores. I went into a Walmart and went into this other location where I had to pick stuff up. And you see people just looking at me like, looking at this jackass out here in his shorts. It's 7 degrees out and he's wearing shorts, and I don't know. It is what it is.
You know, there's some little chat somewhere of someone snapped a picture of you and you're now a meme.
Who is?
You are. Because someone
Am
snapped
I?
a picture of you at Walmart and you are now a meme somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll never
probably am.
figure out where, but you are now a meme.
That would be awesome. I'd be happy with that. So Annika, now
I just
Chris,
know right now I believe in layers. 'Cause
layers.
it
You
is
gotta
too
have layers.
freaking cold.
Now, Chris, do you see
And
Annika
they're
in the
talking
chat?
about
She's in
the
Missouri.
temperature
She's from
dropping
Missouri.
to 12 now, Eric.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I
so
saw
Missouri.
that.
Yeah, Annika, Chris actually went to school in Missouri. So where are you from in Missouri? Just out of curiosity. And I bet it is freezing. I'm in Massachusetts. You can probably tell by my accent that I'm in the Boston area, but it is the same thing here. It's fucking freezing. It's cold. I'm done. And of course, yesterday, my wife, she's down in Florida with my 2 oldest kids, and she's sending me pictures of her.
Springfield.
How they do in Facebook with the legs, and then the water behind you. So she's showing me a picture of her legs with the water, like right over there. And I'm like, thanks a lot, asshole. I'm up here in the freezing cold with the 2 youngest, helping them do their schoolwork and doing my job. And you're down in Florida by the beach. I hope you enjoy it. So Springfield. Now, Springfield, is that anywhere near Stockton where you went to school, Chris?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours away from Stockton, Missouri.
It is. Okay. So, all right. Yeah. So 2 hours away, pretty close. Yeah. So, Annika, now, did you know any of the shows? Have you heard any of the shows we've done about that Agape boarding school in Stockton, Missouri, by any chance? I don't know if you heard any of those shows, but we've been kind of doing some reports on that school in Stockton about all the different forms of abuse that have been happening to the kids there over the years. And I'm not sure if you were aware of that school being in Stockton, or again, it's 2 hours away from you, so probably not would be my guess. It's your first time in. Well, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. And if you want to let us know a little bit about yourself, tap into the chat. Feel free to call in. We'd love to hear about what's happening in Missouri right now. And yeah, I'm saying, so, you go camping every year. Nice. I'm a camper too. I have 4 kids, and we camp probably 5 or 6 times a summer. We had to get a big camper, so we bought a new one last year, and it's got like double bunks in the back room, so we get a lot of space in our camper. And I'll tell you, towing that thing around is a nightmare, because I'm one of those guys where I'm not good at backing in a camper. I'm not good at docking a boat. Those have been things for me that have always been just kind of like the bane of my existence. A couple funny stories real quick. A couple of years ago, probably more than a couple of years ago, like 5 years ago now, I was up at Lake Winnipesaukee, big lake for New England anyway, not compared to the Great Lakes, but it is like 26 miles across, and it's shaped almost like a lobster. So it's got little coves everywhere, and it's really easy to get lost. Lots of islands and things like that. So one day I took with my family the 26-mile trip across the lake, and you get some pretty big waves out there. We were in a pontoon boat. So I get over to the other side of the lake, and I had my brother-in-law in the boat with us. I think my sister-in-law, their kid, and we were going to Wolfboro, which is a really nice town on Winnipesaukee, and you may recognize that name because Mitt Romney has a house in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. So we get to Wolfboro. Now, this is the major leagues of docking a boat, okay? When you get in, there's like 6 or 7 different docks, like dock areas, and there will be a good 15 boats just sitting out there waiting to go in and grab a dock. And you got people coming in and out, a lot of traffic. So I had my opening finally, and unfortunately it was in between 2 other boats, so I had to get on this narrow little channel, and it was one of those deals where you kind of had to go sideways in order to get into the spot. So I figured, what, I think I can do this. I'm better at docking now. I can get in there. Now, to make it worse, in this docking area, there's a big restaurant right in front of the docking area with a giant deck up top where everyone's up there getting drunk. So if you blow your docking, you're going to get heckled by the group up there that's been drinking all day on the lake. So I pull in, and I'm like, all right, I can do this. So I pull in, I'm parallel to the spot. I turn my wheel, hit the throttle, because then you can just kind of like slide in sideways. Of course, the mistake I made is I turned the wheel the wrong way. I lost the back end. The back end starts going out. And literally next to me on both sides, I'm in this crappy little pontoon boat. I mean, there are, $500,000 yachts and everything else in here. So I literally had to like grab this yacht on the side so I wouldn't hit it with the pontoon boat. My brother-in-law had to jump off. I had to throw him a line. He had to pull us in. It was just a friggin' nightmare. I absolutely just destroyed, docking the boat. And we finally get it in. We didn't hit anybody else, didn't do any damage. And of course, I'm walking off the dock with my family, getting heckled by about 20 guys up in this bar. So later, you fast forward like 2 hours ahead, we're coming out of this ice cream shop in Wolfboro, and all of a sudden this guy is walking with his family. He looks and goes, "Oh, you were the guy in that pontoon boat that like totally screwed up your docking." I'm like, "Yeah, that was me. Thanks, pal. Thanks for remembering and bringing that up in front of my family again." So I heard about that for I don't know how long. Then this past summer, another one really quickly. I mentioned this the other day. I was pulling in a really easy docking opportunity in this lake in Maine. I mean, it was just like a straight pull in, no problem. I had it lined up perfectly. I was going to nail it. I was in the boat with my kids. My wife wasn't there, but there was a lake plane docked right next to where the boat was. But I was, I had plenty of space to get by the boat, by the plane. The mistake I made in this pontoon boat was I didn't look up. The top of my boat actually hit the wing of the plane as I was coming in. So there aren't many people that can say when they've been trying to dock their boat, they actually hit an airplane as they were coming into the docking area. But again, I got stuck on the airplane, had to push myself off, and then did nail the docking after that. But the next day I did nail it without hitting the airplane. I gave myself more room. So I've hit an airplane. I've done all these different things. I am not a good docker. I'll just make that clear. So anyway, that's just a long story, but that is the life of John DeVito trying to dock a boat and the embarrassment that my family deals with when they ride in a boat with me. So that's kind of how it goes. So how about you guys? You guys boat people? Do you go out in the summertime in boats or anything like that or no?
Nope.
Nothing?
I am a boat person.
Oh, you are? All
I
right.
am an ex-boat mechanic.
Oh, you are? So you know
Yes.
your boats.
Yes.
Yeah, I damaged a prop a couple of years ago. I hit a rock and damaged a prop on one of the boats, and that was expensive to pay for. I remember. So I don't know. I'm not very handy. I love boating too, and I really have a good time out there. And I actually got quite a bit better at it because Winnipesaukee is tough. I mean, there are rocks everywhere. You got to know where you're going, and it's a big lake, and you get big waves. But as far as fixing a boat, I know nothing. I'm not a handy person at all. So how long did you work as a boat mechanic?
I was a boat mechanic for about 2.5 years before I went on and worked at the Umatilla Army Depot as a civilian.
Nice.
But we had a guy bring a boat to us. Well, he didn't bring it to us. We went and got it for him. But he had this boat. It looked just like a Corvette, John. I mean, just put yourself in this situation, okay? Because there's going to be a question at the end. So he had his boat, right? Just like a Corvette. He even had tail lights in the back of it, and he had a little button on the dash that he could turn them on. And he got the boat paid off, and he dropped the insurance on the boat. And his high school son took the boat out, and they got drunk on the boat.
Oh boy!
And they drifted the boat into a bridge pillar and destroyed the front end of this boat. And so we get a phone call to go get it. So we get on a pontoon boat and run out there to go get this boat and drag it back. And the guy paid out of pocket to have this boat fixed. And it was over 30 grand worth of fiberglass work that had to be done. And and it all was all out of pocket because he dropped the insurance. So now if one of your kids did that, John.
I know. I'm preparing for it. My kids are going to start getting up into that area where they're going to be driving and all that stuff. Now, now I'll tell you, I experienced that from the other end when I was younger. Now, again, I had this roommate in college. This guy was loaded. I mean, you'd never know by meeting the kid. His father owned American Auto plate glass companies all around the upstate New York area, Albany, New York, all around there, several different locations. And when you met them, they're all in jeans, like laid back people. You have no idea. So I remember when I first met this kid in college, he was my roommate. He was the quarterback on the football team. We got along really well. He was a good guy. He's like, hey, do you want to head up? We were in Rhode Island. He goes, do you want to head up to Albany and then to Lake George? My parents have a lake house up in Lake George in New York. Would you like to come up for the weekend? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. But I mean, how long is it going to take us to drive up there from Rhode Island? He's like, oh, we'll get there in about 2 hours. So I said, 2 hours? I can't get to New Hampshire in 2 hours and Albany's further away. How are we going to do that? Oh, yeah. My father's going to pick us up at TF Grain Airport in Providence and he'll fly us up to Albany. So I was like, okay, so you have a plane. So I don't have a plane. So you obviously have quite a bit of money. So we ended up going to Albany to his house, which was a nice house. And then we drove up to Lake George from there. And his parents had a friggin' mansion right on the water on Lake George. And I remember at the time, his parents went out one night and they had a couple of their friends from the lake come over. So I got to meet the president of Freihofer's Bakery. You see their stuff in the grocery stores all the time. And then the other guy that was, well known at the time, they're probably out of business now, was the president of Record Town, which was a huge, record CD store back then. So that was kind of cool. So they were just loaded. So they had like 7 or 8 boats. They had like a Hobie cat. They had windsurf things. They had everything at this house. So they had his father at one point was a professional drag racer. His name was Ronnie Abbott back in the 1950s and 60s. So that his dad loved speed. So they had a 24-foot skater that went 130 miles an hour with 2.4 liter Mercury engines on the back of it. And this thing was amazing. It was like red, white, and blue. It had the name like Hell's a Poppin', I think, on the back of it. So we would go out in this thing, man. And I'll tell you, I have never been that friggin' fast in a boat. And it was terrifying to go out in this thing. It was so fast. Being a skater, this thing would like fly up in the air. It would kind of jump off the waves, and that's how it was supposed to run. So you'd be literally up in the air, going over 100 miles an hour in this thing. So one night, he convinced his dad, hey, can me and John take the boat out? And I'll tell you, when you drove into Lake George Village in this thing, we were 2 like 20, 21-year-old kids. I mean, every girl in the area was like, oh, look at those 2 in that boat. I mean, you just, you were like a spectacle when you pulled it in this thing. But then we're hightailing it across the lake, hitting about 110 miles an hour in this thing, and all of a sudden there was a giant log in the middle of the water. There's nothing you could do going that fast. You weren't going to turn out of the way. So he ended up hitting the log, going like 110 miles an hour, and just destroyed the props on both engines. Did damage to the engines themselves on top of it, and we were just disabled in the middle of the lake. So he had to call his dad, and his dad came out. His dad was a man of few words. Not that day. His father came out. He was bullshit, talking about same type of thing. It's going to be probably $20,000-$30,000 worth of repairs to this thing. How could you be so irresponsible and all this stuff? And I ended up hanging around for like another day, and his father and him weren't talking, and really uncomfortable. And Scott comes up to me at one point and goes, it's probably a good idea you go home. Things aren't good here right now. I'm like, yeah, I was kind of thinking that. So I took off and went home. But we hit that log, man, going over 100 miles an hour, and just destroyed his father's beautiful boat. And that was, I'm sure, they had words about that for a long time. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're talking about boats. I got a boat story for you.
Yeah, let's hear it. Bring it on, brother.
What's that?
Me and my uncle, we went fishing out almost near the Gulf.
Oh.
Just a few feet from the Gulf. We're fishing. I told him it looks like the tide's getting kind of low. He kind of blew it off. We got stuck in an oyster reef.
Ooh, wow.
Did you really? Wow.
Then he had the nerve to tell me to get out of the boat, to shake the boat loose. I ain't getting out of the boat.
Wow. That's crazy.
Another
so what happened?
time,
So, hey, did you get out?
the tide started coming back in. I didn't go to school the next day. We didn't get back until like 8.
Wow.
A different story, same uncle, but this time my dad's with us. We're heading back in, and the game warden comes by. He stops my uncle's boat.
Yeah, they can be assholes too. The wardens sometimes. I've been over a few times. They can be assholes. No.
Well, me and my dad and my mom, we're known in the parish.
Okay.
So they tell us hi by our parish nicknames, which is cool.
Yeah.
Someone like me thinks that's awesome. But my uncle, on the other hand, he did a no-no.
Oh, he did.
Oh yeah, he was driving the boat with no life jacket.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. Same thing. We get pulled over for not having life jackets up in New Hampshire all the time. If your kids don't have them on, whoever, you get pulled over for it.
Well, here's the funny thing. They begin to do like law enforcement. They ask him, sir, you think you're missing something? He's like, oh no, where's your life jacket? Oh, right here. Pulls out a garbage bag full of life jackets. They're like, you think you might want to put one of them life preservers on? Oh no, they gotta stay clean. I don't want to get them dirty.
They gotta stay clean. Just what he wants to hear.
I kid you not. It's because of me and my dad. They did not ticket his ass. They gave him a warning.
Yeah. Well,
And
sometimes
then
it's helpful,
they went on.
buddy.
They went on to do their business, and then he speeds off. He loses his hat, and then we're stuck for hours trying to get his hat back because the Dolphins took his hat.
The Dolphins took his hat. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's crazy.
As soon as his hat hit the water, it went underwater. And it was like keep away from the guy in the boat.
That's crazy.
It was funny.
That sounds funny, man. So yeah, anybody else got any boat stories? I mean, I'm equally as bad backing up a camper. I'm not good at that. And I'll tell you, I've said for years, if you're married, okay, or if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be, and you can back up a camper without getting divorced, then you have a good thing going. Or if you can dock a boat without getting divorced, you have a good thing going. Because literally, now this is what happens when I back up my camper. It depends on the campground. We go out camping, and it's a pretty big camper. I don't even know how long it is. I think it's over 30 feet. It's pretty good size. So, for me, it's hard to back it in, and I need some help because when you turn a certain way, there's a complete blind spot where you can't see what's behind you at all. Like if I turn towards my driver's side, I can see, but when you turn towards the passenger side, you really can't see what's behind you. So my wife is, 5 feet tall. She's small. And unless she's yelling at me for being stupid, she's generally pretty soft-spoken. She finds her voice when she needs to yell at me, which she's pretty good at. But she'll be outside, and I'm in the camper trying to back it up. And, I'll be asking her, what to do. And she'll give me a very quiet, this way. So I have to go back out and say, you do understand, I don't know what this way is. You have to point and show me which way you're talking about. And then she'll say something again. I can't hear her. And then I end up kind of raising my voice just so she can hear me, not to yell at her, but just say, I can't hear you. You really need to speak up. That's when the fight starts, when she starts saying, well, now you're being an asshole. I'm back here trying to help you. I'm telling you which way to go. Now you're yelling at me. And then, of course, from my perspective, I wasn't yelling at you. I just can't hear you. I need you to speak up and give me more direction. So then she'll start yelling at me, and that's when the fight starts. And it's funny. It's not funny when it's you, but when you can finally back in your camper and you're set up and you're finally sitting in your chair and you've got a beer or whatever and you're relaxing, then the fun starts when you start watching other people try to back their campers in. And you see like married couples get into like full-blown screaming matches at each other over backing their camper in and getting it in their space. But then you have others that, this guy's probably like a long-haul truck driver and drives like an 18-wheeler truck all day, and he's like got one finger on the wheel and he nails it the first time in. That's definitely not me. But yeah, if you can survive backing a camper up into a space, especially a tight space in a campground, and you're not divorced by the end of it, then you got something going. Good thing, So I don't know. How about you now, Chris? Are you a guy that can back up a big trailer? I mean, do you camp at all or do anything like that, or no?
Yeah, I've got a 37-foot camp trailer, and I'm an ex-truck driver, so not too much problem for me. But
now I'm probably the guy that you laugh at, right? When you're all set up, you see me coming in, and you see me struggling. Now you have to admit, you must sit back a little bit and kind of giggle a little bit, like look at this poor guy.
John, I don't sit back. I put my chair right out in front by the road. I want people to know I'm watching them.
See, that's what I love that.
I'm drinking a beer. I'm drinking a beer and they're screaming at each other. What better, this is like an episode of Cops Live, just without the officers.
That's one of the best things about going camping. Number one is that. And then number two, at the end of the weekend, if you're at the dump station where you have to dump all the sewage, if you don't have private sewage in your campsite, you go to the dump station, you see a lot of bad things happen there also, where people just don't know how to do it. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're covered in, whatever that comes out of the camper, and it gets to be pretty nasty. So I see Mr. A down there. I had to back in someone else's boat at a ramp before he pulled in and got and probably 50 times. So campers and boats are super easy. Just go slow. I have found that out, Mr. A.
Mhm.
The key to both is going slow. But now to take that back a little bit, I was telling the story about this summer when I hit the airplane with my boat. I mean, I saw the airplane. The lower half of the airplane was well inside of where I was. I just didn't think of looking up at the wing, which I thought we were beneath. So I was going super slow, and luckily I was. When I hit that wing, I didn't do any damage. But little did I know, little did I ever think that I would actually hit a wing of a plane trying to dock a boat. And that's another one I'm sure my wife's going to bring up again this summer when we're out docking.
crazy.
Don't hit the plane, John. Don't hit the plane. Thanks, honey.
I got a story that never dies for you, John.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I'm married. Obviously I'm married, and I'm married into a very funny family. And one of the guys in the family, Uncle Alva, when he was a teenage boy, he decided he wanted to put a truck in the tough truck competition.
Nice.
So he did. And his dad got home from work and was watching the news and seen his truck go across the TV screen. Had no idea his son had took his truck and put it in the tough truck comment. He just seen it on the local news, the truck go across the screen.
Oh, hey, man. Hey, welcome. And Christy also. Oh, that's crazy. That must have been so funny. Oh, my God. Where's Asha? I don't see Asha coming in.
Asha, that is Man Cave Sound.
Oh, it is. Okay, that's why you said, hey, Asha. Okay. So how you doing? And unfortunately, guys, I'm having a blast right now. It's 1:45. I have a Zoom call. I have to get on at 2:00. So unfortunately, I have to end this. I'd like to stay on for another hour because I'm actually having an absolute blast right now. But I've got to sign off. So Eric, why don't you do your thing? We're going to have to wrap this up. I'll be back
I think of like what you and Chris have talked about is I think y'all might have like another Agape story, coming up very soon. So we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. And then I recall Amy saying something a while back about there also being like a missing person case out of Arizona tied to Agape, but hopefully Chris and Amy might be looking into that and see whether they might have a follow-up on that.
I remember that. Hey, what happened to Wolf? Remember Wolf Den Radio had someone in his family that was missing.
Wolf's Real Talk Radio, they found him.
They did, okay, because I hadn't seen what happened on that. I know someone in their family had autism and they were missing, so he did find it. That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
I mean, I think he was like missing for like 24 hours, but then they sent him to the hospital because of like the frigid cold temperatures to make sure he wasn't suffering from frostbite or hypothermia.
Right. All right, dude, why don't you do your thing? I've got to unfortunately log off, so tell everybody what's coming on, and then I'm going to...
So throughout the day today, be on the lookout for Laura, should she do her communication station show, and also be on the lookout for Robert, should he do his Mr. Clean Music show. But I think Robert has said something about leaving late night to come back to more like late afternoon, early evening, and I think Jeremy around 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time this evening will be doing his Cummings is Culture podcast show. And then Chuck and Billy's Not Your Cup of Tea is on around like 7 or about 7:30, 8 p.m. this evening, and then Slightly Serious at 9:30 p.m. And then the Old Man will be doing his Friday night music show at 11 p.m. Eastern. And then Dennis Lee will be doing Tall Tales in the Rabbit Hole throughout the weekend. And then Trice Talk is back on Sunday. And the Old Man also has his Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon music shows. And hopefully Ralph will be back on next week with new shows after taking a week off. And, and also be on the lookout for Lady Me to do her A Day in the Life of Me podcast show. And then Pink Squirrel to do her Whose Podcast Is This Anyway show, and many other great podcast friends.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of good podcasts on Podbean. And, while we do have some negative stuff, we talked about that earlier. You get trolls, you get people that just aren't kind people. For the most part, kind of like life. I mean, you have to look at it the right way. It's a good thing here. There are a lot of good people. We have a good community. And when you get those negative things in, it just reminds you that we're all kind of fortunate to have the community that we do. So, when you guys see trolls, if you're in a podcast, wherever you are, if you're in someone's podcast, if you're in Robert's show, Slightly show, Chris's show, whoever's show, call somebody out. Don't let them just get away with, being mean or being hateful or seeing negative things. And hopefully if we all stand up against some of these people, they'll just choose to troll other people and move on from this from this place. Oh, Man Cave, I saw that was this show earlier. I wanted to get into Man Cave's sound show. Pressure Makes Diamonds. I saw that earlier today, and unfortunately I was in the meeting and I couldn't get in, but that's an interesting thing to think about. Right. So anyway, I'm going to turn the music on. I've got to unfortunately go to work now for the next few hours. So everyone have a great weekend, and I will have shows on over the weekend, so look for me, and everyone have a great weekend. All right?
Love you, God bless you, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.